Right, boys, qualifying final week. Nick, the boys have finished minor premiers for the first time since '96. You played in that '96, didn't you?
It's a long time ago, Bolts. '96. How old are you, Louis?
Oh, Mick, I think I was in about year 6, mate. So what's that, 11 or 12 years old?
It was such a long time ago. Against Hawthorn, out here at the SCG. Unbelievable game, pretty tight. And it came down to one kick. Darren Creswell kicked the winning goal.
Sorry, he took a mark in the goal square, didn't he?
Took a fantastic mark in the goal square. Plugged us playing. I mean, it was just an amazing experience. I think I was about 19 at that stage. So, and the boys go on to do that this weekend.
And you got the weekend off that time, and then came back, and that was Pluggers Point in the prelim here.
So the prelim was huge here as well. Obviously, packed stadium here at the SCG. You know, a couple of seconds left. He's taken a mark. He kicked the point. People don't remember he had the sore groin. Yeah. And if you ever get to watch that footage, I'm the first person to jump on him, and everybody piles on.
Then get off.
Yeah, and I said, we've done it, and he's just going, get off me, you silly such and such. So little did we, we forgot that he had injured himself, and it just went crazy into the big one.
What was your first qualifying final?
My first one was 03 actually. Yeah, so I was similar age to Madge. I was 18, 19, and
it's Brisbane.
So that was it was the Port Adelaide one over in Port Adelaide. So against the odds, it was first, fourth. We finished fourth, so again double chance. But I mean, 100% Port Adelaide fan.
That was at the stage when those guys were flying. They were on top. They finished.
There was
a
lot of injuries. There was a lot of injuries. Even Bruzy had the bad Achilles. He was coaching on on crutches.
That's right. I missed it. I think I tore my hamstring against Melbourne at the MCG the week before, and unfortunately missed that. Watching at home, and New Blakes just played an unbelievable game, and I mean, especially in Adelaide, it's very difficult to win there.
I just remember the deathly silence, and that's where I guess that us against them sort of thing, where you go over interstate and you get a chance to lock down, and that's what the guys have got to take on this week against Fremantle. They'll be, locked down. They fly over early and get to, I guess, take on the team.
I mean, a Ross Lyon coach team, you know what they're going to bring. I mean, they almost went close last year to going to the big one, but. It's a whole new ball game. I mean, they're missing a couple of players. Don't forget as well.
2 huge outs, like Michael Johnson and also McFarlane as well. Yeah. So they're massive outs, and it'll be interesting to see how they contend against the big guys up front.
It will be, and I think first and foremost, you've got to get off to a good start. So that pressure that people talk about, the contested footy and just being hard at the ball, that's going to be so important. I mean, 2 fierce teams going head to head.
The team's a bit more rested than this time last year. Do you think, Louis?
Well, it'll be interesting because I think there'll be a few wins for this week. A few guys sort of missed out last week against the Tigers, whether it was injury or what have you. But they'll come back in. The team's been pretty settled though, apart from that.
So, Louis, I mean, going into this final, and with the injuries and whatnot, with yourself, we've had a couple of years. Well, I've had a couple of years out, and this year, sort of first year, looking on the outside, looking in now. Some of those big outs, or big ins actually, coming back into Sydney. Franklin and Joey Kennedy is unbelievable. I mean, the way he's played this year, come back from that little niggle with the hamstring, but he must be
McLean and Pikey as well.
I mean, some big ins for the Swans. So I'm not too sure about Louis, but your favourite players watching this year, Bolts, for the Swans?
I think for me, probably watching Benny McLean go around. I think, and the fact that he missed the 2012 final series, it was pretty gut wrenching to see him play all the year and miss that. And his intensity, he's like a cannonball out there. It's been good to watch I guess he's a bit of a barometer in that intensity and pressure, so it's good to watch him go around.
I think one of the great things about this year is the depth that the team's unearthed. A few of those young guys like Harry Cunningham and Jakey Lloyd coming through, really taking the reins on it and sort of playing with some real confidence out there. Another one's Gary Rowan. Just the last month or so, he's really taken his game to the next level.
He's found a spot, hasn't he?
He can play forward and back.
Unbelievable.
Versatile.
Who does Nick Smith go to, you reckon, if you've got Ballantyne and Walters?
Yeah, no, well...
They're both dangerous.
I know, exactly. You might spend time on both, you never know. Times like this, you wish you had 2 Nick Smiths, but I imagine he'd start with Ballantyne.
He's had a fantastic year. I mean, Nick Smith, I think he's nominated for an All-Australian.
Yeah,
in the
first
squad.
All-Australian squad, so which is pretty good.
From where he's come from, I mean, a lot of hard work and perseverance, obviously, but those two players that you've mentioned, those Fremantle players, Walters and Ballantyne, geez, they're good players. I personally like to see him go straight to Walters. I think he can do that lockdown job, and I think if Ballantyne gets off the hook, he can maybe swap that, because he's dependable.
That would send a Rampy then to Ballantyne?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think Ballantyne's, with his speed, it might just have a little bit of leg speed over Nick.
And what about the midfield battles, boys? You've obviously got Fife, Mundy, Barlow, and even Stephen Hill. Yeah. It's an incredible outfit in Freo's midfield, and obviously then you've got the hard nuts of the Swans, Parker, Kennedy, Jack.
It's going to be an unbelievable battle inside, isn't it? And I can see you're chumming a bit. You want to get in there.
The qualifying finals are awesome, and the fact that the fact that you actually can throw everything at it and you've still got that double chance, it takes a little bit of pressure off. They are a different sort of elimination final or something like that.
Oh, look, the big one for me, Louis, is Fife coming back. I think what he brings to Fremantle. He's an inspirational player. He's a hard player. He can go forward and kick a couple of goals. So,
aerial-wise, he's unbelievable.
He's very, very dangerous. So you look at that. I mean, Mundy just keeps on racking the footy up. But I think you've mentioned a kid called Luke Parker. He's a premiership player already. What a year he's had. I mean, you've been up close and personal, Louis. I mean, what's he like?
Mate, outstanding. He's like a human cannibal. He goes up, honestly, 100% every single contest.
He reminds me of someone
exactly here. Right, spot on, in the mould of Jude Bolton. But I think with Parksy as well, he's sort of elevated his the skill side of his game too, and he's making some really good decisions with the footy. And so he's not just a tackling machine, but he's an offensive weapon as well.
What about Buddy? Did you think he would have the year that he's had? He's been enormous for the club. Do you think he was always going to be that player when he got here? Because obviously the first few weeks were a bit dicey, but then he's fallen into some amazing form.
I mean, I must admit, I went over to training and watched the pre-season, and I think the amount of work, his work rate at training is unbelievable. I think people tend to get lost with that a little bit. He's got an unbelievable work rate, really hungry, and an appetite to go in and under. But I think we watch the bells and whistles and the tricks and all that kind of stuff, and we get a bit in awe of it. But I can, watching him train and the way he goes about things, and then having that quiet start of the year. A lot of people, I mean, there was a bit of mud coming from everywhere, wasn't there? So I just think he needed those couple of weeks just to gel with the rest of the team and to find out how everybody played in those pressure situations. And
speaking of pressure, though, his defensive side of the game, Louis, I guess that's probably been something that's been unheralded, but he's enormous internal-wise.
Yeah, definitely. But I think, at the start of the season, you needed to give him the benefit of the doubt. You have to remember that Goodsy was on the sideline, Reedy was on the sideline, Tippo was on the sideline. So it's sort of a one-man show up forward.
And he plays better with those support.
Well, exactly.
You've got 200 centimetre frame like Tippo next to you, and then Goodsy playing.
I think, I mean, coming here and watching 40,000 people at the game, and then everybody's running up and down, and there's number 23s are everywhere. Matthew Nix, by the way, the original number 23. He still thinks that's for him, but he's a good man, Nixie. But Buddy is proven to be a handful for a lot of sides, and he was always going to come good. He's too good a player not to.
What's your favourite finals memory across the journey? Obviously the grand finals are big, but what are some of the lead-in finals that you can remember?
Well, I think, I mean, if you go off qualifying finals, those battles against West Coast that we had over in Perth at Subiac,
Mickey O kissing the West
so
Coast fan, just in his face,
up close and personal with a few of the cheer squad there, match.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm still not allowed back in Perth, by the way, guys. It's one of those things. As a kid, you dream of playing finals footy, and you get the opportunity. And I love playing away from home. It's us against them. Your back's against the wall. But I must admit, playing out here at the SCG with a packed house in a final, and the one that sticks out for me is when Plugger did kick that point against Essendon. The crowd just went absolutely berserk. They ran on the oval. There's nothing like it. And being a 19-year-old kid, that feeling, and you're invincible and you're running, it's just sensational.
We had that obviously with Nick Davis. I don't want to bring it up all the time, but because he talks about it enough every time we catch up with him. But that 4 goals here was incredible. You mentioned before that game over in Port Adelaide, going over there and against the odds, I guess there. And the one for me also was the prelim final against St Kilda, leading into 05. I mean, they'd had an enormous year, and we'd come through the back end of that with the Nick Davis 4 goals in the last thing. But to go down there, and probably the finals just go like that in terms of momentum as well, and they were charging in the third term, and then You know, the boys just took control in the last quarter. And
absolutely.
that feeling in prelim finals where you know you're into a grand final.
Yeah.
The last 5 or 10 minutes, hopefully the margin's enough that you can start enjoying it a bit.
Oh, look, I think you mentioned Davo and that and those 4 goals in that last quarter. I mean, that's the best individual performance I've ever seen from a player in a space of 30 minutes. It was just unbelievable. We almost stood back and just watched him go to work, didn't we? I mean, we knew what a great kick he was, but he was just so smart, and all of those things you plan for, and that final goal, you know, we've rehearsed that over and over and over again at training, but to execute that, and again, the roof goes off the SCG.
Finals can be a bit like that in terms of cameos, can't they? I mean, you think, you know, Stuart Dew for Hawthorn, you know, those sort of things. A couple of goals here and there. Mitch Morton even in 2012. Like just those bit of moments where someone gets a chance to stand up. Is there anyone that might stand up this final series for the Swans that I guess is unheralded at this stage?
Well, I think if you look at the weekend's game against Freo, it's probably the battle of the big men, Pikey versus Sandilands.
Yes.
Like if Pikey can sort of win that battle, it's going to go a long way to get in.
He's going to have to nullify him, isn't it? If he gets his hand to it, Sandilands, it's...
I think, absolutely, I think that's going to be a crucial... The other one I think is going to be huge, and he's become under a little bit of scrutiny this week, is Adam Goods. I'm not saying it because he's a great mate of ours, but I just think he's been looking dangerous over the last couple of weeks, and he's found that little bit of spring and that bit of speed.
Well, you can tell that the club's obviously got confidence in him because they've thrown him in the midfield as well.
Yeah.
Some of the centre bounces in, and that's obviously no injury or you know, concerns about him if you're throwing him in that thick.
Well, I think he gets off the chain a little bit just because of Buddy, Tippo and the guys are there, and I think the midfielders get looked after pretty well. But if he can come in and kick a couple, have a bit of an impact, I mean, he's more than done his job, hasn't he?
The other one I reckon, Madge, is Jets. Louis Jetta. I reckon he's going to have a blinder of the final series.
Well, I hope so.
Look, no doubt sort of he draws comparisons to someone like yourself, Madge, and you're a big game player.
I was a bit quicker than Louis. Not quite, but I mean, he looks like he's finding some touches as well, doesn't he? So disappointing with the game against the Tigers, but I think it might be a good thing. I'm not too sure about what you guys feel, but going into this final series, full of confidence. You know what John Longmire's like. A lot of preparation goes into this game against Fremantle, and I think it's going to look after itself come the weekend.
What about some of the younger guys like Harry Cunningham, Jake Lloyd, for instance? You know, what are their feelings going into a final series? It's Jake's first final series. Harry obviously was exposed last year. What do you think?
Look, I think as a young guy, you're just excited, aren't you? I mean, you think back to your own personal stories and going into finals games and what's it like, and you have friends and family come and visit and go to the game. I just think they'll be jumping out of their skin. They'll have nothing to lose. They go straight out. Some of them haven't experienced that before. I mean, Dane Rampy comes in and plays. Plays a lot of finals last year, but I think gets that opportunity again to go, and he's had a sensational year too, hasn't he? But
so versatile in that sense.
Absolutely.
Small and just.
I mean, he's come from the New South Wales Bulldogs University side, so I mean.
Playing with you, wasn't it?
And sitting on the stands having beers and then suddenly playing.
And then suddenly playing. So he must be pinching himself. But look, I've already mentioned him again. I think Luke Parker, I just love the way he goes about it. I was lucky enough to be involved in his development at the AIS. So when he came to the Swans, I thought that was a perfect fit. But the special thing about him, goes forwards, takes big grabs and kicks goals. You can get a midfielder doing that. As hard as he is, he could have a real impact in September.
What about the surface at ANZ this week? What's your thoughts? Is it going to play a part, or is it just doesn't matter? It's just
it's game on. I think the weather forecast is for showers, so I don't think the surface is going to be too much of an issue for the boys. And I think the game against the Tigers was probably a good dress rehearsal.
Both teams are playing there, so. They've both got footy boots on, and they're both contested footy. So I don't really buy into what's the surface like. I think that's an outside issue that needs to be addressed later down the track. But I think both teams are playing on the same oval. It's the same stadium. So
Rossi Lyons said there's sticks at one end, one at the other.
100%.
There's a bit of grass in between, and we'll just go out and play.
I think both coaches will keep it pretty simple. Two contested games, two contested teams going at it, hammer and tongs.
Hopefully a huge crowd out there, because it's going to be on for young and old. And the carrot's there. I mean, you get the week off. Do you reckon it's better to have the week off, or better to go through the other way and have 4 tough games to get there?
Yeah, no, tough one. Look, personally, the week off. freshen up, get ready for a prelim if you're lucky enough to win.
And also the home advantage of prelim at home.
Oh, I'm the same. I think old bodies. We needed that sort of weekend off, didn't we? But the young guys will be looking to play every week. But I really enjoyed that week off.
Well, can't wait for the game and look forward to it.
Well, Louis will be sitting in a box. Are you doing another lap, are you, mate?
There's a few babies' heads around there. He does a bit.
I think he'll be in a box and enjoying a quiet one, watching the boys play.
I'll probably be sidled up alongside you, Madge.
Oh, I'm staying well away from you, mate.